Now you actually the first guest.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, I didn't
Even
have an
better.
interview last week, so you the first guest. So you the catalyst for it all, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, I'm happy to do it.
Yes, sir. All right, perfect. They hear us so perfectly. I'm gonna get right into it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm super excited about this interview. This is my first official interview that I'm conducting on the podcast. My guest today grew up in Connecticut, ended up getting a Division I opportunity to the University of Virginia. After he graduated from the University of Virginia, decided to transfer over to USC and had a full season at USC where he was able to block for a pretty special quarterback at that position. And he ended up getting a nice training camp offer from the Bears and was able to spend some time in the NFL for a little bit. So without further ado, everybody please welcome to 24/7, where we're always open, Robert Bobby Haskins. I appreciate you so much, man. I'm super excited for this interview. And honestly, it's actually kind of, I feel like we've gotten to know each other a little bit, obviously because of both of our professions right now, but I don't think we've ever really sat down and really discussed, origin stories. So I'm really curious. I want to ask you, man, just talk a little bit about your upbringing. What was it like growing up in Fairfield, Connecticut? I think Connecticut's kind of like you know, people tend to sweep Connecticut under the radar. So I want you to have the opportunity to put some light on Connecticut, man. What was it like growing up?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I actually grew up in Newtown, which is just about like 30 or 40 minutes inland. And then ended up going to Fairfield Prep for high school. So that's where my folks stay now, in Fairfield. And we moved down there like junior year of high school. But like growing up as a little kid in Newtown, like, like rural Connecticut was awesome. Sports was obviously like a huge part of growing up for me and both my sisters too. So my parents probably logged, tens of thousands of miles on the car growing up, driving to, my sister's gymnastics or soccer or basketball, football, you name it, lacrosse. They were always driving us around. And so I think growing up, like the youth sports programs were a huge part of our community growing up. That's like where I made all my friends. And yeah, like growing up, weekends were like, you know, come home from practice, shower up, go sleep over at a friend's house, or after I remember when I was little, like I started playing football in like third grade. So when you're little, you want to watch all the big kids play too. So our games would start probably rotated between Saturdays and Sundays, but we'd play at like 10 or noon, and then they'd have games like every 2 hours that went the rest of the day. So I always remember begging my parents to like let me stay with a friend and watch all the older guys play, and I just couldn't get enough of it as a kid because it was like my two favorite things, right? It was like football and then all my buddies. So it was the fall weekends growing up were all like that.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Hey, and for all y'all disrespecting Connecticut, as you can see, there's clearly a whole bunch of stuff to do, man. So lay off on the Connecticut slander, all right?
Yeah,
Bobby
it's a
Haskins
bad
has
rap,
officially
man.
shed a
Everyone
light.
says it's just a highway between New York and Boston, but there's so much more.
Yep, 1000%, man. So actually, I really do want to talk about what was it like growing up in a family where because obviously you do have a sister, and I've met your sister. Me and your sister have actually met before because she was giving me some tips on journalism. So just talk a little bit about growing up with your sister and how that bond was like almost.
Yeah, absolutely. My sister Julia, and so she's like 20 months younger than me, and then we have a younger sister who's 10 years younger than me, and like almost 8 years younger than Julia. So it was a super fun dynamic growing up. I remember when my mom came home and told my sister and I that we were gonna have another little sister, and I actually like cried because I wanted a brother at the time. And I was like 10. What are you gonna do? But now being the oldest and having two younger sisters is like probably one of my favorite things in the world. Like I always tell them, like my favorite thing to do is like be their big brother, and it sounds super like cheesy, but I do genuinely mean that. But we're all super tight, super close knit. My sister Julia, who's the one that you've met and know well, just because we're so close in age, we talk to each other about pretty much everything, and we kind of always like just are the kind of each other's go to whenever we're going through something or whenever we're down or even whenever we're up too. So us being so tight in age is pretty cool. Because we have that dynamic, but then also being so much older than our younger sister Peyton is special too because we both get to have kind of like almost like a caretaker ish relationship with her. Where like growing up, we were the built-in babysitters. Always changing diapers, or Julia would change the diapers. I didn't really mess with that. I'd do like bedtime and like reading and stuff like that.
Okay, there you go.
I made sure to pick what I thought were like the different the chores that I thought were a little bit better, but you know that relationship between the three of us is like super special, and they're I love them more than anything in the world. They're like my two favorite people on earth.
That's amazing to hear, man. Spoken like a true offensive lineman, always protecting his people. That's awesome to hear. But so I'm actually gonna shift gears a little bit because I really want to talk to you. Obviously, the full interview is gonna be strictly about football. But you got any hobbies outside of football? Was there anything else outside of football that piqued your interest?
Yeah, absolutely. I love playing golf. In the summers, love getting out with buddies or with my dad or mom, sisters, going and playing golf. We go to the beach a lot too. Now that we live in Fairfield, we're like, we can walk down to the beach and go to the water and stuff. So my siblings and I will do that. So summers are always a blast. But I would say, yeah, I would say like now that I'm not playing anymore, I work out still, but it's a lot different. It's more like much more relaxed, like just
For
feel
sure.
good workouts, not really like trying to crush yourself workouts.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is nice, which is a nice change of pace. But yeah, I would say like working out, going to the beach, and playing golf would be some of the biggest hobbies. I also love movies. I'm a big movie guy, so
Oh, okay. What's your favorite type of movie?
probably comedies. But I will say my three favorite movies of all time are probably the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah,
Ooh! See,
those
Bobby,
just
I knew we was cool for a reason, man. I knew we were cool.
those are good, man. It's hard to beat those. It's hard to beat those. It's a redemption story.
For sure, absolutely. Which one of your trilogies the favorite though?
Uh, so it was always Dark Knight for a while, and I
Okay.
probably will stand by that. But the more older I get, the more I like Dark Knight Rises,
Mm,
because of the redemption. Like he goes to the prison, he's down and out. You're like, oh my god, he's cooked. He's never gonna make it back. And then like the willpower to, and I know it's just a movie, right? But like the willpower to get himself back up and go back home is always something I thought was pretty cool.
nah, that's definitely good reason. And trust me, with Batman, between me and you, bruh, it's never just a movie. That's Batman, man. We can talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, that's
Batman for real.
trying to live my life around that.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Well, that's awesome to hear, bro. We definitely got to hit up a movie one day, and go see something that we're both interested in, man. Because I'm a huge movie person too. But
What are your favorites?
I would probably say growing up, weirdly enough, my favorite movie was a Karate Kid with Jaden Smith. I loved that movie growing up, but then I veered more towards like the Marvel universe growing up. So then I started watching all of those movies, and obviously I'm very biased because Chadwick Boseman is one of my favorite all time actors. But Black Panther, man, was like incredible for me. It was something I've never really seen before. Then I've only read Black Panther in comics, so like to be able to really see them encapsulate everything into a movie, I was blown away by the movie. That came out what 2018, so I was on my way to college, and you were just finishing your first year at Virginia, and I remember watching it with my friends, and I had like a tear coming down my eye. They're like, "Yo, you crying?" I'm like, "Hey, bro, it was beautiful, bro.
Yeah,
Everything I expected from it." So
yeah,
yeah, I probably say Black Panther is my favorite all time movie.
yeah, absolutely, man. That's a great one.
Yep, for sure. So let's get into the football, man. I know this is why a couple of people are here. We don't have too many viewers, but once I announced that you were coming on the show, man, everybody wanted to hear about your football story. So let's start straight all the way from the beginning, man. You talked about your mom and dad having to drive constantly back and forth between practices, making sure that you and your sister always got the practice on time. But talk a little bit about where the football journey actually began. Where was it that the career of Bobby Haskins started?
Yeah, absolutely. I I like idolize my dad. He's like my biggest role model. Like look up to him, in pretty much everything. And so he played football at Columbia in New York City.
Yep.
And so, I remember growing up, like in our garage, he'd have like an old helmet. And actually it still has mouthpiece in it too, which is kind of gross. But I would I would like put his helmet on when I was little and like mess around and stuff. And so like I always knew that I wanted to play it and that I would like it. And I think a lot of that probably was because I wanted to be like him. And I remember when I was in second grade, he brought me down to like get fitted for equipment because he was like, oh, you should play. Like it's the first year you're able to play tackle football. Why don't we get out there and do it? Like I was like nine, like 8 or 9, and we got down there and I just got scared. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. There's no way. So we pushed pause on it in second grade, came back third grade, had some more friends who were playing. So like I was all into it for to be with my guys. But yeah, just started playing in third grade with our town team. And then ended up also going to high school with a bunch of those guys that I started playing with back in third grade. So it was pretty fun to start and then, kind of see us all grow and stay together throughout high school too. So but yeah, back in that like second grade equipment fitting, I was like, no way, not for me, not doing this. And then got a little older, and in third grade was like, all right, let's do it.
Was there anything in particular that kind of drew you back into football after that year?
I just think I was a little older, and I think I grew a little bit, which I think helps.
Okay.
It's like seeing everybody hit each other. I know I'm big now, but at the time, I don't think I was like you had to play up with like when you were in second grade, you played with like third grade as well, and I think I was a little scared of getting rocked by some of the older kids. So we came back when I was a little older, grew a little bit, and we're like, all right, he's okay now, he can do it. But yeah, I think I just realized that like it's the ultimate team game, and I just like there was I couldn't have articulated that at the time, but I just think there's just something special about it where you're out there practicing every day with your guys. I think it's really cool too that you get so few chances to play, right? Like I think growing up in youth, we had maybe like 10 games, maybe 8, and then even in college, you only play 12 regular season games, and if
Mm-hmm.
maybe a championship game or a bowl game if you're good. But I just think it was there with like that build up to playing in the game on the weekends was always really cool. Like you prepare all week, figure out what they're gonna do, figure out what you're gonna do, and then you got one chance to go out there and try to do it in the moment. I think that's just like a really cool aspect of the game.
Yep, for sure. And it must have been nice to have 12 regular season games. D3, we had 10. So you had 2 extra games on us up at the D1 level, man. So that must have been nice.
It was good, man. But I will say we were always jealous about Thanksgiving. We were always missing Thanksgiving, so
Yeah, yeah, that's a tough one.
trade offs to it for sure. But yeah, we were lucky that we got to keep playing.
Yep, well, that's awesome, man. So, when did you realize, at what age, and you could take me through your journey if you want to, but was there a certain age that you realized you had a future in football? Like, I know for a fact I can play at a high level. Was there at any point in time, did you realize that, or did it kind of just happen out of nowhere?
No, I think it kind of like was a slow moving thing. Um, was I was always like good enough to be competitive growing up, and we actually had like we had a really great team too. Like all my buddies were also great athletes, and so it was we were always good, which I think made it super fun at a young age. But yeah, I really even when I got to high school, like I had a concussion in eighth grade, so my freshman year of high school, I didn't play football, I just played basketball, and then came back sophomore year, played, but like really didn't have much attention. And then junior and senior year, I didn't have a ton of attention either. Didn't have a ton of interest from schools. Had some stuff like. You remember how the recruiting process goes, right? Like those you get the emails and you get the some of the mail and stuff, but
Yep, yep, it's crazy.
never really had anything like concrete um, until I guess going into I think it was like my senior year in high school. I got Brown reached out and asked if I wanted to come, and I just it's nothing against them. I just didn't really. see myself being there. I didn't really like the campus and stuff like that. So I don't think I really knew until I did a postgraduate year down at the Hunt School in Princeton. And I think reclassing helped a lot. I was a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, but yeah, like I had a coach down there, Todd Smith, who like I still talk to him on a regular basis. He's the absolute man. Really really think the world of him, and look up to him. But he kind of walked me through the whole process. Being from Connecticut, we don't really. It's harder to get, I think, some interest just because it's a smaller market.
Yep.
And guys are doing it now, which is great. It's awesome to see that. But he was able to kind of help me out with all the little stuff in recruiting that I didn't really think about, like how you structure your film and like who you reach out to and what camps you should go to and stuff like that. So I don't think I really knew that I could play in college until I went down there and was able to work with him.
Nice, man. Awesome. Now, can you just explain, because a couple of our viewers might not know what a post grad year is. So, can you kind of just like explain what a post grad year is, what that entails, and how you kind of were able to utilize that to benefit yourself with getting those some of those bigger offers that you ended up receiving?
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically like a repeat. So I did 4 years of high school at Fairfield Prep in Connecticut. Loved it. Still close with all my guys there, like brothers for life. I'm actually wearing the
Ah, I
band,
see it. Yep.
so always
Yes, sir.
always keep it on me. But yeah, it's basically, you have the option to go, wait for a year before you go to your regular 4 year college, and some guys will do it where they'll go to school for like 2 years at a high school and transfer in and repeat like their sophomore year or their junior year. I just ended up doing mine on the back end, so I just did a fifth year of high school. Um, you know, Almost like, I mean, it's not a gap year because I was at school, but it's like that kind of mindset where like you just give yourself an extra year before you get started. Um, and yeah, I also was playing tight end in high school, and then at the Hun school, my coach was like, I think you could be more marketable if you said that you would play tackle and play offensive line. And that kind of changed everything because I was probably like one of the slowest tight ends around. But then when you flip to the O line, then I was more athletic and a little quicker on my feet than maybe you know some other linemen. So it was I think a combination of having that extra year and then also finding a position that I was probably better suited for in the long run.
Nice. See, and obviously I know what a post grad is, so I know how a lot of players, especially like in our area, so many players utilize a post grad to their benefit. So it's awesome to see that you found similar benefits to that, because I mean, for a lot of guys, that's a year where they're able to really get that big offer that they've been looking for. And it might just be one, it might not be 10, 15 like other big time recruits might get, but you might get that one offer from that one school that really wants to take a chance on you. And sometimes that's all you really need. You just need that one school to really see something in you that you might have not even seen in yourself. So I'm happy that that worked out for you, man. But I really do want to talk about the next level now. The transition to college. So you do get the offer from UVA. You commit to UVA. So you end up going to campus. And what was the transition from high school to college like for you? How was that?
It was hard, man. It was I ended up going in January for the spring semester.
Oh,
So
okay.
excuse me, I was like there earlier before the rest of my class, and kind of just trying to learn everything on the fly. But those first week or two of winter workouts, like absolutely smacked me in the face. Hit me like a freight train. Like every analogy in the book, I was getting cooked at those things. Like throwing up. Could the next morning like having trouble walking because I was so sore. And I really think it was just kind of like a welcome to college football time, um, where I just you kind of have to adjust on the fly. But I was lucky because everyone down at Virginia was so like helpful and took me under their wing, and like some of the older guys in the offensive line were like just showing me the ropes, teaching me how to do things, teaching me how to structure my day, like how you have to hydrate before a workout, what you should be eating, like little things that as you get older you're like, oh, that's a no brainer, but when you're new, everything's kind of a whirlwind, and so I was super lucky to have guys there that were really looking out for me and so helpful. And that you could just kind of feel like, all right, these guys genuinely care. Like they love each other, they care about each other. Everyone looks out for each other. So like it was I guess it was two parts. Like the first being like, oh my God, this is gonna be like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. And then the second part being like, all right, well now I'm with a bunch of great people who we're all going to get super close with and bond with because of all this hard stuff that we're doing together. So it was really cool it was hard, but it was very cool to like look back on that and be able to appreciate like why you kind of have to go through those dog days in the beginning.
Yeah,
But
those.
I was like, I had a moment where I called my parents and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I was like, yeah, this might not be for me. But I think a lot of people go through that sometimes. I'm sure not everybody has those moments, but you just kind of push through it, you persevere through it, and on the back end of it now, you look back and you can laugh about it. But yeah, it was a lot at first, man.
Listen, bro, we might not have all called our parents, but we were damn near close to doing it, bro. I went through the same thing. I wholeheartedly understand. Especially that first
Yeah.
week. That first week sucks.
Oh yeah, that 5 a.m. alarm goes off, and you're super sore, everything hurts, and you just gotta like have that deep exhale and be like, all right, here we go again. Just try to get through another day. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's funny now, man. Now that you might feel this way too, but you look back and you're like, oh, I missed that.
Oh yeah, 1,000% miss it every day. I wish I could wake up at 5 a.m. and go work out on a beautiful turf field with the lights on, and it's literally just you and your guys are the only ones up on campus, so you just feel so great knowing that you're doing something for what you feel is a bigger purpose, man. Like that's always something that I'll cherish forever. But nah, it sounds to me like you have a lot of great experiences at UVA, but what was your best experience by far, if there's anything you could pinpoint?
Oh, probably beating Virginia Tech. My sophomore year, we were both ranked at the time, and the winner would go play Clemson in the ACC championship game.
Mm,
And we ended up losing the ACC championship game, but clinched the Orange Bowl
nice.
after that. So that was like that whole year was pretty incredible. But it had been 15 years since we'd beaten them, and so it was like a sold out stadium. We win the game. I just remember like the game ends, and within like 30 seconds, the entire field is just jam packed with people.
Okay.
Like you can't turn anywhere without bumping into somebody. Like I get tapped on the shoulder behind me, and it's like my sisters and my parents are all of a sudden on the field. It was just a really really cool moment that had been a long time in the making, and we had made a point that whole year, like that's what we have to win that game. This is like the battle for your state. We just really put a lot of stock in needing to win that game, and so to be able to do it and have that time after with everyone's family and all the guys in the locker room was special.
Nah, that's awesome, bro. That's actually crazy. And you answered my next question because I was gonna ask, was it home or away? Because if it was away, I couldn't imagine you guys beating Virginia Tech at their place after they came through to enter Sandman. I couldn't even imagine what that must have been like. But hey, getting it done at home is even better, man. Getting it done at home is definitely feels just as good. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I hate Virginia Tech. I think any Virginia Tech person would say the same thing about Virginia. Like there's kind of like a real dislike there. But you got to tip your cap where it's due. Like that what they have going on over there is incredible, and that stadium and that atmosphere and the way they fill it and coming out to enter Sandman, that's a cool tradition in college football.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I love watching it on TV. It looks absolutely insane. I can't imagine seeing it in person. Now, you said you went to the ACC championship and lost to Clemson. Was that the year they had Trevor Lawrence, T. Higgins, and all them boys?
Yeah, it was. I don't remember if they won the national championship that year, but they were in the playoff, which is why we were able to go to the Orange Bowl to represent the ACC, which was an unreal experience too. That was like a bucket list trip for sure, and a bucket list game. But yeah, they were pretty loaded that year. They had a great team.
Yeah. Was that and you said that was your sophomore year?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think that was 2019, fall 2019.
okay. I think that was the year that they lost to LSU because LSU had that ridiculously stacked lineup.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be
Yeah,
right. I always forget if that was COVID or not too. But I remember, yeah, their LSU that year was like whatever
yeah,
year the Burrow was. They were just
yeah.
nuts.
They
They
had
were
Joe
nuts.
Burrow, Jamar Chase, Jefferson. I mean,
Yeah.
you can go through every position and find somebody that played, if not still playing in the NFL. Like they were loaded that year.
Oh
So
yeah, no doubt.
yeah, but hey, I'm gonna give y'all credit. You probably softened Clemson up a little bit before before that
Yeah.
matchup, man.
Yes. And we tired him out.
Yeah, you tired them out. I wish you could have tired them out enough so Ohio State didn't lose to them, but is what it is.
Yeah. Are you an Ohio State guy?
Yeah, and yeah, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll be fun watching them. I mean, tough one against Michigan, but I'm sure they'll bounce back.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that game. Moving on, because we're not gonna talk about Ohio State, Michigan today. So obviously, so you go through all of Virginia, you graduate from Virginia, you get your bachelor's from Virginia, and then you transfer over to USC. What was kind of the conversations in the background about where you wanted to go for grad school? Because obviously you had the COVID year, so you had that extra year of eligibility to be able to do that grad year. So what was kind of what went into your decision to actually transfer out there to Southern Cal?
Yeah, absolutely. So the coach I committed to at Virginia, Bronco Mendenhall, who was the absolute man, really love and respect that guy and all the coaches we had out there. But he stepped down temporarily.
Mm.
He just took some time with his family and kind of hit the reset button. And so, I only had 1 year of eligibility left. I didn't really know what I wanted to, like what it would look like at Virginia, who we would hire. Everything was kind of up in the air. So at first, I kind of entered the transfer portal just to almost like protect myself and give you options. Like, okay, because I only had from the time that our coach stepped down to the time that you had to enroll in your next semester of classes was only like 2 weeks. So I really didn't have a ton of time to like know what was going on and then be able to make a good decision. And so we entered the portal, or I entered the portal to be able to know like the full extent of what the options would look like. Kind of always thinking that I would just go back to Virginia. But I got a phone call from Lincoln Riley the day I entered the portal. He was really cool, really down to earth, just like honest, straightforward. Kind of kind of expressed what he was thinking, why he thought it would make sense for me to come visit. And he was like, "Do you want to come out this weekend?" So I called my dad. I was like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend? I think we should go to LA and see what it's like out there." My first time on the West Coast. Had never been to LA before. It was just like a totally different but really cool experience with like all the palm trees, the weather, like just the whole West Coast vibe is very cool. And I really enjoyed it for the year I was out there. But after meeting the coaches that they'd hired and just talking to Coach Riley it just felt like a place where I could be happy. Number one, where I would develop as a person and as a football player, and probably have the best chance to to play competitive football and to try to if I wanted to maybe take a stab at the next level. And so we ended up saying yes, and in about like 2 weeks after that trip, packed all my stuff up, flew to LA, and started you know started at USC.
Wow, that's wow. You got the phone call the same day you entered the portal. Like
Yeah,
that's
the portal's kind
crazy.
of nuts. It's just there's like no rules once you're in, so people can just call you whenever. And I actually felt bad because I was in the middle of taking finals so I could graduate Virginia. So you know, I think you know me pretty well. I'm like a pretty talkative guy. I like calling people back and like communicating.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just once you're in, people can just kind of call you and text you whenever. So it was kind of a whirlwind. While I was trying to take finals and make sure I graduated and everything, get all my work done, so that I could, keep playing football. But I was very happy to early on kind of identify, Coach Riley as a person I trusted, who I liked, and who I wanted to play for, so that the rest of it was kind of easy. We just had to go see it and just make sure it was, what we thought it was.
Wow, that's incredible, bro. I mean, it's crazy to get a first-hand account of the transfer portal from you because obviously we see what's been going on over the past few years and especially over the past couple of days. The transfer portal has been going absolutely crazy. Like it's nuts. So actually getting a first-hand account of it, and for literally once you're in, to hear that people could just contact you with no restrictions, I mean, like that's kind of nuts. So I couldn't even imagine how much your phone was just jumping that for that couple of weeks that you didn't decide.
For sure, and it's even. I think it's even gotten like worse than that now. I was still when it was new. I think it might have been like year one, or year two maybe. But now it's like guys are getting calls and texts before even getting in the portal. So it's like, excuse me, it's just like I think they got to do something to try to put regulations on it or have some sort of like uniform way of doing it. But it's especially now that there's like real money involved, where guys are making like you know not quite NFL money, but I mean some of them are, but they're just there's a lot more at stake. I feel like so it's interesting that there's been nothing yet to try to just make it a level playing field or just have some sort of organization around it.
Yeah, I hope that some regulations come about because honestly, I feel like it's a whole mess, and like you have guys going into the portal, coming out of the portal, going back into the portal, and it's just like you gotta have some kind of standard for these guys to follow. But I don't want to keep you too much longer. I'm probably gonna keep you for about another 15 to 20 minutes, but I really want to get to this part because a lot of the people that were gonna tune in were really excited to hear that you played at USC the same year that one of the most we had probably one of the most amazing Heisman seasons in recent memory. You were the starting left tackle for none other than Chicago Bears starting quarterback Caleb Williams. Coming in, obviously, you and Caleb came in the same year because Caleb transferred in from Oklahoma. So, what was it like being able to meet Caleb? What did he expect out of you guys as an O line? And just kind of talk about some of the absolute, for lack of a better term, nonsense he would do in the backfield because watching him play football was bro, I was like glued to my screen every time he threw the football, man. He's ridiculous, and even some of the throws he's making on Sundays is crazy. So yeah, just kind of encapsulate as a whole, what was it like blocking for Caleb Williams?
Oh, it was a blast. I mean, we knew that we could score, with certain exceptions, almost that well. Like we were fortunate enough to have a veteran offensive line, a lot of playmakers in the backfield and that receiver, and then the best player in the country at quarterback. So it was we were confident going in, and I think a lot of that confidence started from Caleb, and us as an offensive line unit, just knowing that you know he can put the ball wherever he wants to put it. No one's going to be able to tackle him the first time, right? Like he was too athletic, too strong, and quick to be able to get taken down right away. And then the craziest thing for me was his accuracy on the run. There was one time in practice where he rolls out to his left, so as a righty, it's like across his body. It's like kind of an awkward throw for a quarterback.
Yep.
And we had somebody going down the opposite side of the field, and he put a ball like 65 yards on a dime, like a falling away across his body, and he would just do stuff like that where you'd be like, this guy's different. So it was really really cool to be able to be a part of his run. That was something that as an offensive line unit we took a ton of pride in. And he's a great guy too. I mean he is a team first guy. He looks out for his teammates. He's just genuinely a great person, down to earth. And he when he was nominated for the Heisman, he called the committee and thanked them for having him, and just said, I'm not going to come though if I can't bring my offensive line. And they were like, that's not really a thing. We're not really going to do that. And he was like, all right, well, we'll just stay in LA then and watch it as a team. And then they came back to him and they were like, no, 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 why don't you bring him? That'd be a good idea because, he's going to win. So yeah, he's got to be there. But the fact that he, like, at the height of his own personal achievement, that he thought about his teammates first, and really went out on a limb to bring us with him and make us a part of the process is something that I'll appreciate, and love him for forever. Because that was just one of the most special experiences. Like I grew up watching the Heisman since since I first started playing football in like second or third grade, and then to be in the room and see our teammate win it, and have us there because he advocated for us to be there was really special.
That's honestly incredible. And as a Caleb Williams believer, I am so happy that you said everything that you said about his character, bro, because it literally irks my soul when the media tries to portray this bad image about literal kids. Like Caleb was what, 19, 20 at the time when he won the Heisman? So he's a literal kid and he has to go through all these horrible things in the media, man. So I love the fact that you came on and really spoke to him about it. And we did talk before. I've asked you told me probably the second time that we saw each other that Caleb invited you out to New York for the Heisman ceremony. So to be able to do that, I mean, that just shows that he has the utmost respect and he's just more than what you could have asked for in a teammate, man, especially at the quarterback position. So for him to do that for you guys, I mean, bringing five. Did he bring just the starting O-line or everybody?
I think he brought like 7 or 8 of us. So he brought like anybody that had like really really played and got some substantial time. He took with him.
W. Caleb Williams in the stream chat, man, because that's incredible, bro. That's so awesome. Super happy to hear that and happy for you that you actually got that experience. But talk a little bit about life in Southern Cal, bro, because you kind of steered towards it for a minute, but really talk about some of your favorite parts about LA and kind of the difference from coast to coast, because you literally went from almost the epitome of the East Coast in Connecticut to all the way west in Southern Cal. So kind of just talk about those differences too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I loved it. I thought it's just a more relaxed way of life. Everyone's a little more laid back. Um, People are I think the weather helps a lot too. Like it's like 75 and sunny every day. It's like a little harder to be in a bad mood when the weather's so beautiful. But we would do things on our off days, like go to the beach, go to Santa Monica Pier, go to a Lakers game, right? Go to like a Kings game. You can go. I would never went on a hike, but like there were guys that would go hiking up in the mountains. There's just like there's so much to do out there. Um, you know, with even with like Hollywood and all the entertainment stuff. There's just so many different options and so many things to do, and it's just a very like laid back, nice lifestyle. So it was a very fun change of pace, and it was a very cool, very cool place to be for a year.
Yeah, East Coast boy taking on the West Coast. I'd have lost my mind out there. So it's a good thing that happened to you and not me.
Yeah, my skin wasn't built for the sun, man. I burned bad.
Oh, I was just about to say, yeah, that must have sucked going over there and having to deal with that.
Yeah, I think I had like sunburn on my face for probably like 8 straight months. I just could not, especially with like practice outside and stuff. I just couldn't beat the sun, man.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm gonna shift gears a little bit and talk about the next step afterwards, because you always said that you did say that you wanted an opportunity to play at the next level. You felt like you had the ability to, and you ended up getting a little opportunity. You got a training camp invite, I believe. Right? That's what it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was after the draft that signed a undrafted contract and went out to training camp with the Bears, and it was a blast. It was awesome. I was pretty nervous going in. Like it's just obviously a super competitive environment. Going in that you could be cut any time, any day, for any reason. So I think mentally at first it was a little stressful. Just trying not to. I felt like anything I did, I was like, oh, I might get cut for that, or I might get cut for that. But a couple of days in, you realize like, all right, it's just football. Just work hard, play football. And the other guys that we were with made it amazing too. Like the offensive line room that we had when I was there was everyone was so down to earth. Guys like genuinely looked out for each other, which in that hyper competitive of an environment, I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't know if guys would be, trying to not give you good advice or whatever, or just kind of keep their distance. But, guys hung out together. We had a great locker room dynamic from what I saw, and experienced. But it was really special, man. It was very cool being around, people you watch on TV the last few years, and then to go and be at practice with them. It was very, kind of surreal in a way.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I'm so happy that you got that experience. You literally are that 0.1%. You got an opportunity to play in the NFL, put on an NFL jersey and NFL helmet, and I hope, obviously you would have wanted to make the team and play longer, bro, but I hope you look in the mirror and really just be proud of yourself, man. I told you that when I first met you, like that is, you really beat the odds. You genuinely beat the odds, because there's so many of us, myself included, that never even got a chance to even get an invite to training camp. You know, some of us got injured early on. Some of us just weren't good enough to make it. So I really do hope that you can tell yourself that you're proud of yourself, man, because that is something absolutely incredible, and you'll be able to hold on to that memory for the rest of your life. You know, you made it to the NFL. That is something you could tell your kids one day. So that's beautiful, bro.
Well, Jordan, I appreciate that, man. That's sweet of you. It's definitely something I'm super proud of, and definitely wish I could have made it and stuck around. But look back on it and am super proud of it, and also just you know, it was just fun. I just was like, I was talking to my dad about it. And I was pretty banged up through college, had a bunch of surgeries, and was pretty banged out coming out of the season at USC too. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I'm like, I feel pretty beat up, like I'm kind of worn down. And he was like, dude, stop talking. Like, think about it this way. Like, it's a game, right? Like, play this game as long as you can. The rest of your life will be there to live when the time comes. But be all in on this while it's still something that you can be all in on. And I think that's if I didn't listen to him, I think I would have definitely regretted it. And even though it was for a very brief amount of time, I think I was able to walk away when it was done and be at peace with everything and kind of turn the page and move on and look back on it and be happy. So I'm happy that even though it was for a brief time, I tried to go for it.
Well, dang. That was gonna be my next question, and you kind of answered it. But is there anything else, like any advice from Mr. Haskins that you might have received that kind of got you through some tough moments in life? It could be anything: football, life, shoot, dealing with girls. I don't know, man. It could be anything, bro. Because look, dads are good for giving advice about that. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, whatever advice I've been listening to in the girls department has not. But I'm just joking. But yeah, I just think just I think self belief. Like he's a big guy that thinks thoughts become things. Like you can kind of attract what you focus on, and so just believe in yourself. Focus on positive outcomes and things that you want to make happen in your life, and go after them. With everything in you. So I think that would probably be the biggest thing.
Nice, man. Awesome. Now, if you don't mind, this is gonna be the last thing that we speak about. Just kind of tell the people in the chat and the rest of the world, because this is gonna be posted on social media. Just tell everybody what you're doing now and how you've been able to adapt to life post football.
Yeah, definitely. So I came home, and was working an internship in my hometown, at Rex Financial. Give those guys a little plug. They're awesome. Love those guys to death, man. They have an awesome thing going on over there. And then I took a job at Citibank as a wealth management analyst, and so I've just been there for the last few months, just trying to learn, trying to add value, any way I can. But it's everyone over there has been incredible. The people have been fantastic. I'm super fortunate and lucky to be where I'm at, and really grateful for this next opportunity. But just trying to learn from it, and try to take some of the football mindset and now channel it into something new.
I about to say, if your football career is gonna be anything like your professional career, bro, you gonna be just fine. I can tell you that much right now. Bobby,
You
it
gotta
was
remember
so
me when you got your own TV show, or when you got all these sponsors coming on the pod, man. I want to come back on one day.
Man, what? Of course, man. You good anytime, anywhere. It don't matter, man. If you got a free Tuesday at 7 p.m., you always good on my show, bro. Always.
Perfect. I love it.
Yes, sir. But Bobby, I appreciate you so much for taking time out. We went a little longer than I wanted to keep you in for, and and I told you, but I appreciate you so much for hopping in, man. You're the first guest to hopefully something that ends up taking off beyond anything that I could imagine. Bro, I appreciate you so much. I know we're probably gonna, because our professions are now linked, because you're a member of the educational board where I'm at. We'll definitely be able to talk a lot more, and we'll definitely see each other more often, bro. But thank you so much for sharing your story with me and for the people in my chat. They're saying W Pod, W Bobby in the chat, so they loved you, man. I appreciate you so much, bro.
Hell yeah. Hey, thank you for having me on. This was a blast. And it's always good talking to you, Jordan. You're a good man. So thank you for having me on.
I can say the same for you, brother. Hope you have a good night, man. Take care of yourself, all right?
Thank you, man. You too.
All right.